So what did we do before to figure out the discount? Let me put discount amount here just to make it really clear. So the percent discount is equal to the discount amount divided by the original, using this idea. And how did we figure out the discount amount before? The discount amounts, how did we figure it out before? We did the percent discount times the original. That's what we did, didn't we? We took the percent times the original. That's how we did the earlier examples. So it's really just, do you guys see how I went from here to here? I just multiplied by the original. So this is the formula we used earlier. It's just another form of this basic formula. Now, please, dear God, please understand. I'm not saying you suddenly have to use the formulas. If you look at these problems, several of you should just know how to do it. If you've been in business at all, if you had to calculate any discounts or anything for yourself, you should be able to just do it, and your work will match the formula. I don't need you to use the formula always. Now, if you go into this and you're like, I've never done any of this shit before, really, to be honest, well, then maybe you should use the formula just to be careful. All right, so I want to do one more idea, and then I have a handout for you guys that's going to cover these ideas.
Everything that we just went on.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy. By the way, what we're doing right now is 6.3 and 6.5. We're going to come back and do 6.4 because it's its own little weird thing. But 6.3 and 6.5 are sort of related. So I'll let you do them together. Proportions. So this is the classic example of this. The classic example of this is like a map scale. So I know we all use like Google Maps or something. Does anyone still use MapQuest? Is that even still a thing? Apple Maps, if you want it. And who knows where. But if you look at a map, somewhere, if you zoom in on Google Maps, there's a little scale that tells you, 1 inch is roughly how many feet or whatever miles, depending on what your scale, how much you zoomed in. So, for example, what if a map scale said 1 inch is 8 miles? So 1 inch on the map corresponds to 8 miles in real life, right? And then I said, well, how many inches apart on a map if two towns are, what you got, Jeff? 19 miles apart. Okay, now please understand, there are several different kind of ways to do this. I'm going to ask you to use a proportion to solve them because we're sort of learning how proportions get set up and used. So the way to set up, all a proportion means, a proportion just means setting two ratios equal to each other. So what the hell do I mean by that? If 1 inch relates to 8 miles, that means 2 inches would relate to 16 miles, and so forth, right? So if I knew, if the question was 1 inch to 8 miles equals 2 inches to how many miles, we would just be able to say 16, no problem. But what does this actually say? What is it that I don't know? I don't know how many inches apart they are. So what do I put on top for this other ratio? X, because I don't know what the shit it is, right? X, but I do know that they are. So notice the important thing here is inches to miles. So this other one has to be inches to miles. The most common mistake people make is they set one of them the wrong way around. And then you end up having towns that are like 2 feet away from each other. Something, I don't know. So now let me show you the general process. And sometimes it's a shortcut to it, but let me just show you the general process that you use. I don't know if anybody knows the name of the process you use for this. I can't remember if we talked about this yet. I don't think we have. Yeah, cross multiplication. Now, I'll tell you this right now. On this specific problem, I wouldn't do the whole cross multiplication. But let me just show you how it works. Just once, in case it's not a special problem. We write it without all the units in there. So there's fractions running amok, right? If I multiply this side by 8, don't I have to also multiply this side by 8? Is that cool?
Yes.
And what's nice about doing that, this fraction dies, right? Now, I'm showing you why the shortcut works. This is not cross multiplication yet, but this is going to lead us to a shortcut which we call cross multiplication. How would I kill this other fraction? Multiply by 19, and then that dies. So now, here's the shortcut. Look, what does it look like that 19 did? It looks like the 19 just went up here. And what does it look like that 8 did? It looks like the 8 just went up there. Do you guys see what I mean? So let's do it. Where did the 19 end up? I'm looking for a pattern here so I can develop a shortcut. What does it look like the 19 did? I know what the 19 did. I multiplied by the 19, but where did the 19 end up? There. It went there. It went there. Where did the 8 end up? It went there. Right? So the actual process, if you want to use this, you can. If you don't want to use it, you can actually just do it the long ways, no problem. Just to show you what it looks like directly. Cross multiplication is exactly what it sounds like. You cross 19 times 1 is 19. 8 times x is 8x. Isn't that what I'd end up? 19 equals 8x. That's what I'd end up with up there. So cross multiplication is a shortcut that only works when I have fraction equals fraction. The other mistake is once students learn about cross multiplication, they try to use it everywhere, and it doesn't work unless there's one fraction equals one fraction. That's the only place it can work. So how do you solve this for x? Divide by 8. So x equals 19/8, and then you can do whatever I ask you to with that. 19/8 what? Inches. I like it. So you can divide it if I say leave it as a decimal. You can rewrite it as a mixed number if I say to leave it like a mixed number. Whatever I say to leave it as. If I don't say to leave it as anything, you can just leave it as that. Okay. Let's do another one. Say I want to kill some weeds. And I buy this stuff that's full power, but I got to dilute it so it doesn't kill like everything. I just wanted to kill the weeds. So I have to put, maybe it says to put for every 3 gallons of weed killer, I want to put in, what you got, Jeff? I don't know, Jeff. Let's say 16 cups of water. Just so I can say that word. Water. All right. You guys see how, even before I ask you a question, could you set up a ratio?
Yes.
Yes, it would be
3 gallons.
to, it's crazy. So right there, this is the stuff from that ratio section by itself. I can set up a ratio right now. The reason this is a whole new section is because it's the equivalency of 2 ratios. It's making an equation out of 2 ratios. Where one of them, I have a part that I don't know. That's why it's an equation. So let's say if I bought 11 gallons and I want to use all of it, how much water will I need to use?
I see.
If I bought 11 gallons of weed killer, and I want to use all of it, how much total water would it take? Following the directions. What's the directions say? Every 3 gallons I need to use, I should dilute it with 16 cups of water. You guys with me?
Yeah.
Just by what that means. So yeah, so 3 gallons of killer requires 16 cups of water. Now notice you could have set it up the other way as long as this one gets set up the same way. Right now I've got gallons to cups. So this has got to be gallons to cups. And what is it that do I know how many gallons?
Yeah.
Yes, 11. Do I know how many cups?
X.
X, because I have no freaking clue. So please, when you do the math of it, lose the units so they don't get in your way. But at the end, you better bring them back in. So I got 3 to 16 equals 11 to x. If I use cross multiplication, what equation would I get? 3x, gather, equals,
16 times 0.
yeah, 176, I like it. Yes, you gotta love that. There's no fractions left. And then how do I solve for x?
Divided 3.
Divide by 3.
Divided 3.
So whatever the hell that is. 58.666. Yeah, 58.666.
5, 8, 6, 6, 6.
Yeah. What? Cups. Being a human, I would probably make sure I have 60 freaking cups, you know. I'm like, 0.66, no, 0.7. No. Do you guys get the idea? I mean, this is the same problem I just did with math. It's the exact same problem. They give me a ratio, and then they ask me a question where they only give me part of it. So, of course, x is going to go on the other part, because I don't know the other part. And then I cross multiply, solve for x. That's how you do a proportion. So proportion is just equating two ratios. That's all that is. So here, start working on this here. Oh wait, it's on the reverse of your homework sheet. I actually saved some paper. So if you did not get that updated homework sheet, I don't know why you wouldn't want it just for that. Definitely want it now so you can do this on the back. Somebody else still need that homework sheet? Okay.